Welcome, my Long Island pickleball friends. We have a very special guest for our Long Island Pickleball podcast. I'm Coach Frank Milillo from Long Island Pickleball Pros. I do lessons, I give clinics, I do leagues, I sell paddles. And our very special guest star today is Joe Gannascoli, who is a entertainer, a pickleball player. He was on The Sopranos, and he's very active in a lot of different activities. And so I'm going to turn this over to Joe. Joe, introduce yourself and give us a little background.
All right, I think you said it all, Frankie.
Yeah.
Joe Joe Gannascoli was a chef, um, an actor, um, pickleball, racquetball, golf. It's what I play,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
here we are.
And Joe, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to give us some background, like how did you get involved in acting? What made you want to become an actor?
Yeah, just
And what? Yeah,
just ask them.
I just did.
Oh,
What made you become an actor? How'd you
I
get
was
in the
in,
acting business?
I was a chef, self-taught. Worked in restaurants in Manhattan, French cuisine. Lived in New Orleans for 4 years and came back to Brooklyn, opened the restaurant with a couple of friends.
What was the name
Very,
of the restaurant?
very popular, called 101 Fourth Avenue and 101st in Bay Ridge. And got into some trouble and moved to LA to pursue acting.
So now you grew up in Brooklyn, right?
Yes.
Okay. And did you do acting in high school? Did you do any acting there?
No. Never did any acting. Never
So
had a desire.
so what was the impetus? What was the catalyst to say, you know what, I'm going to try my hand at acting? Because you were a chef, you were a pretty successful chef, right? So what made you take the leap from being a chef to being an actor and then moving to Hollywood? And then take us into that whole process, and then take us to how you got to be on The Sopranos.
Okay, well, one of my restaurants that I was working as a chef in Manhattan, I had a waiter who became a friend, had a theater company, and they were going to do this play, and he said to me, "There's this role that you would be right for. Do you want to come and audition?" And I said, "I've never done anything like that, but I'll try." See what happens. And it was someone that was sort of easy to play. He was a loan shark on the docks in Manhattan. So it was called the Juice Man. I was the Juice Man. I was the loan shark. And after the run, which was way off Broadway, um, I liked it, and I said, "What do I do?" It was kind of fun. And he goes, "Well, if you want, you could go study with my teacher." So I did that for about a year and a half, which I didn't get anything out of the acting class. I enjoyed watching this guy teach because he was out of his mind, but a brilliant teacher. And I got thrown out. A lot of people got thrown out of the class. You come back in. He had a funny way of teaching. And it was a 4 year uh, course. I only lasted about a year and a half. But I was tired of being broke. I got out of the restaurant business while I was in class. I was selling ice cream from a cart on Wall Street. And I said, "Yeah, this is, I'm tired of being broke." I got back into the restaurant business. And a couple of years later, that's when I opened the restaurant with some friends and got in trouble. And my friend who introduced me was a working actor and living in LA. And I called him up, and I was either going to go to Italy or LA to pursue acting.
Cool.
So I did that, and yeah, moved. We He was house sitting for a producer. I lived there for a bit, and we had to move. We kept going from place to place, house sitting, and then he left, and I was doing it on my own. Then I found a place. I was working in restaurants, trying to get my start, and that's how I got my start.
So what year? What year was this? What year?
This was 91 to 94.
91 to 94. And so you're
OJC.
in LA. So how do you get to? So what was your acting career from 91 to 94? How did you get to The Sopranos?
Uh, well, I had to, you know, get my Screen Actors Guild card.
Right.
Um, so it's not easy getting a start in Hollywood. You know what I mean? There's a million actors there, and everyone's trying for the same role. So I hustled because that's the Brooklyn in me,
Right.
and I got a role in a movie with really big actors. Movie didn't do much, but it was with star John Cusack
Wow.
and Michael Madsen was in. My scene was with Michael Madsen. Um, Debbie Mazur, Philip Seymour Hoffman.
What was the name of the movie?
It's called Money for Nothing. It's a
Wow.
true story about a guy who a kid from South Philly finds $1 million, fell off a Brinks truck,
Ah.
and true story. And James Gandolfini was in it. I didn't work with him, but we shot in Pittsburgh. So they flew me to Pittsburgh. I mean, I had one scene. They usually don't do that, but they like me.
Right.
And the guy who really helped me my scene wasn't with them, was Benicio del Toro,
Oh
who's
wow.
a big time
Yeah.
actor. But it was early in his career. So I did that and did a couple of more movies with did Ed Wood with Johnny Depp. I had a scene with Johnny Depp. I did a movie up in Toronto with Antonio Banderas and Rebecca De Mornay. And Benicio tracked me down. I was working in a restaurant, and he said, "I just I'm going to produce and direct a short film. I want you to be the lead. It's going to be you and Matthew McConaughey, and we're going to shoot in a hotel. You're going to play undercover drug agents." So we did that for a weekend.
And coming from Brooklyn, that can't be a stretch for you, right?
What, playing undercover?
Yeah. Drug agents. Yeah.
Yeah, drug agent. Well, yeah, I guess it's the other side. It's the other side.
Right.
So I kicked around. It was about 3 or 4 years now. I hated LA. I went back to Brooklyn, got back into the restaurant business. And that's when we opened up something. I kept in touch with Benicio. He got me in. He says, "I'm coming to New York. I'm going to do 2 movies. I'm going to get you in these films," which he did. And the casting directors were Georgianne Walken and Sheila Jaffe. They were partners. Georgianne Walken did The Sopranos. Sheila Jaffe did The Entourage.
Right.
So they wanted to meet me because they said, you're not even auditioning for our movies, and we don't know who you are. So I went to go meet them. They said, "Do you have an agent?" I said, "No." And they said, "Just keep in touch with us every few months. If you're right for something, we'll bring you in." And I did that. And they cast me in this television show in a bakery scene. And I said, "I don't really want to do TV. I just want to do movies." And they laughed and they said, she said, "You don't even have an agent. So I think you should do this. It's going to be big." And that was The Sopranos. Now I
No
played
way. Seriously. And
yeah, I played two different roles. And so my first role was in a bakery scene called Gino, and it's where Christopher shoots the kid in the foot. And I was just a break bakery customer.
that's a pretty good scene, by the way. That's a great scene.
Yeah, well, a little homage to, that was always tongue in cheek with The Sopranos. So he got shot in the foot in Goodfellas.
Right.
He winds up shooting the kid in the foot. And for some reason, they brought me back as Vito.
So now, so you're asked to read for this TV show, and you're thinking, well, you know what, it's TV. I'm not so sure this is something I want to do. When did you get the inkling that hey, this could be something really big? Because what season were you in that you started with The Sopranos? What season was it?
Season one.
Season one. So when you're going through season one, are you thinking, wow, this is going to be a monster hit? What were your thoughts about that?
Well, the Wall Street guys were on it. Wall Street always like knows about something that's they just know what's going on first, you know. And they were all watching. It was like a cult following. And by the time my episode came on, episode 8 in season one, you know, everybody was in it. And I was gonna watch it. It was I said, oh, it's pretty cool, you know. It wasn't your run of the mill like kind of mobby kind of
Sure.
movie or TV show. It's a lot of interesting things going on, and it was pretty cool. And I didn't really think anything of it. I was like, ah, you know, that was cool. I watched it, and then I got the call to come and audition for this role of Vito, and I got that. And season 2 and season 3, I had a couple episodes each season. I got to kill Jackie Jr. in the last season, the last episode,
Huh.
which was pretty cool of season 3. And then season 4, I was like, I don't want to be just a background guy with, a couple of scenes here. I want like something, what they call an arc. And
Right. Something
you can't,
meteor, right? Something meaty.
right,
Sink your teeth in.
exactly. So you can't really go to the writers and say, hey, it'd be great for my character. You can't do that. And you certainly can't do it in front of the other actors. You had to be on the QT. And I was reading a book called Murder Machine about Roy DeMeo mob in Brooklyn. Guy actually is from Massapequa. Roy
No,
DeMeo
I had
was,
a friend of mine at the house last night, and he remembers seeing Roy DeMeo in Brooklyn because he lived in Brooklyn. He saw him. He saw his body shop.
that's where they did a lot of their
Right. He was talking about it last night. He goes, yeah. Right.
chop shop, chop
Yes,
shop. Yeah,
exactly.
they were big on that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He was
And they
talking
had
about
the
all his things with that.
chop shop above his bar. He had it called Gemini Lounge in Canarsie, Flatlands. And they killed a lot of guys in the bar and brought them upstairs to drain the blood in the bathtub. And one of his guys in his crew was gay, and the light bulb went off in my head. And I go, oh, that's kind of interesting. Something you don't see all the time. So as a chef or as a cook, I didn't want to learn Italian because I knew Italian. I wanted to broaden my repertoire. That's why I wanted to learn French, and that's why I went to New Orleans. And if I was going to be an actor, self-taught, I wanted to challenge myself to prove I could act, my castmates I could act, and I wanted to play something that wasn't easy because I grew up with these guys in Brooklyn.
Right.
So it was easy, the way they talk, the way their mannerisms, and I was around them, going to clubs and bars and, just seeing them in my neighborhood, who they were. So I wanted a challenge, and so I suggested it to one of the writers on the QT. I took her aside. I wouldn't have given it to David Chase because I didn't really talk to him. He didn't talk to me. If he said 10 words to me during the 6 seasons I was there, that would have been a lot. And
Right.
I gave it a book, and I said, "Look, this is kind of interesting. You never see it. It's true, and I'd be willing to do it." So that was in the middle of season 4, and I didn't hear anything till season 5, and that was the infamous security guard scene.
Right. Right. Which I just saw on Facebook not too long ago.
Yeah, I mean they're always me dancing with the outfit. It's a meme.
Right.
Um, people always refer to it like I got a bobblehead with that outfit.
By the way, that's
So,
when I first saw that bobblehead. And do you still have them? Still for sale?
yeah. I still, I had 1,000 of them. And I sell them with my book, a little package deal. People love it.
Do you
I
have
just
one
got
handy
back
that
from
you could just
Florida.
show on screen?
Yeah, hold on one second.
So I'm going to ask you a question while you're reaching for the bobblehead, which I think is just an amazing bobblehead, which I absolutely love. When did you think that the writing of this show was like above everything else you were involved in? Joe, that is a great bobblehead. And what's it say on the bottom?
Well, it says my line, like I say it while I'm dancing. What's a guy got to do to buy you a drink? And as you know, I have my own vodka. I'm a brand ambassador,
Right.
so it's Rocka Vodka.
Yeah, bring it a little
So,
closer. Bring it a little closer, just so that people could really get the gist of this whole leather scene with the
right,
chaps, no less. It's great.
right.
It's great.
I tell people it goes like this too.
But look, Joe,
And
people
here's
can
another
buy
thing
this
that I love.
at the end.
You
We're
know,
going to tell people where they could buy the book and where they could buy the bobblehead. Wow, what is that?
someone gave me that. He made it, and it's pretty cool, isn't it?
That's really cool. That's
Yeah,
really
it's
cool.
about my little cigar humidor.
Yeah.
You know,
Wow, that's pretty neat. So when did you
and
first get an inkling that this show is above the rest of all the other shows that, were written for Hollywood, that were written for streaming shows and things like that? Because when you watch this show now, it still stands the test of time. You watch it now, you could still watch and go, you know what, it doesn't age. It's a great show, great writers, great actors. When did you realize that this is something really special?
well, the critics were on it, and they were, it was really groundbreaking for that type of genre, if you will.
Right.
Um, and I think it opened the doors for other shows like Breaking Bad and The Wire, the usual ones that are mentioned. But it won Emmy Awards for a lot of the actors. Um, so it's like knowing that you're on to something really great, like being on the 1985 Chicago Bears with that defense,
Right.
or the
Sure.
27 Yankees, or, the
69
Yankees.
Mets, 69 Mets.
And that was a lucky year. I mean, if you're talking about a dynasty, like the Yankees winning five in a row.
All right.
I would even say Islanders, four cups in a row. You're part of something great. So, um, the '07 Giants going 9-7, then beating an 18 and 0 an 18 and 0 team in the great, the Super Bowl, to break the Miami Dolphins record. They were going for the record undefeated. So, I always say I was blessed being part of history.
Right.
But I made my own breaks, but maybe that's part of being blessed because, though my breaks happened because I was blessed. I don't know, but I hustled and yeah,
So, so the question is, look, it's a lot of people don't realize what David Chase's last name really is.
the Cesare.
Cesare, right? He's an Italian, and from what I understand, they got a lot of the stories from the Jersey DeCavalcanti family. Is that true? That someone was
That's
feeding him
right.
stories about they were inside on the stories about what went on.
That's what I understand. Um, I guess maybe in his interview, I haven't heard all those interviews. But we supposedly the mother in the show was based on his mother,
Right. Cool.
and you know, um,
So now you
it,
handed the script, right? You handed the script. What was it like when they told you that you were no longer going to be part of the show because they were going to kill you? Because my understanding is that that's not something people like to hear or see, especially when they're part of a big show. I remember Paulie Walnuts. What was his name?
Tony Sirico.
Tony Sirico went to the writers and said, "You better not be writing me off the show because I got news for you. Same thing's going to happen to you if it happens to me." That's what he said.
Well, I don't think he had much to worry about. He was too good a character. Um, so by the time they did it, it was in season 6, and I had done 39 episodes. And When I look back on it and I would reflect it, which by the way, I wanted to see Chase and try to talk him out of it because I wanted to go to the second part of season six. Um, and I came from one small little bakery scene into this character that was sort of, I guess, at the time, groundbreaking. And
Still is groundbreaking, Joe. It still is groundbreaking.
and then they had a whole season pretty much dedicated to my character. I look back and I said, well, listen, I really can't complain. I would have liked to make it to the very end. But I knew I was walking, a tightrope being in that situation because it always comes down to money with the mob. And even though he wanted to let me live, and I was willing to pay him, and I was his big earner, other families were going to stop doing business with him because of me. And then they had the vendetta with Phil Leotardo that
Right.
wanted revenge for his brother. So he was between a rock and a hard place, and it sort of happened.
So now, what was that like? That happening, on there? Was it like you got divorced from the show? I would imagine it would be kind of tough because
Yeah, it was
you
kind
are
of.
on. What's that?
We were in Fort Lee when it happened in that hotel. I used to pass that hotel every time I went over to George Washington, and they knocked it down since it was called the Metropolitan Hotel. It was a real skivats
Right.
hotel. But I remember going out with the crew, and there was a club next door to that hotel, and I tied one on, and looked back. It was a little sad, but I said, I can't complain, man. I had a great run out of nothing. So, I wanted to go see David. I gave him my reasons why I should live. He just sat there stoically looking at me. For I probably talked. It seemed like I was talking for maybe 10 minutes. Maybe it was like two. And
Right.
then when I was finished, he like just looked at me and said, "You're going," and that's it.
So, Joe, give me a couple of good, funny scenes. And what was it like working with James Gandolfini?
Well, I mean, Jimmy, we weren't very close, but he affected me in a couple of ways. Um, when I had a when I opened up I had a soup place when I came back from LA. I opened up a soup place. I used to make 30 soup. I'm not even a soup guy, but everybody was into soup. So I was making 30 soups a day. And I had wraps and salads and smoothies and so on. And once a month, one of the cast members would come by and meet fans, which was really cool. And Jimmy said, "How come you haven't asked me to come to your place? Everyone's having a lot of fun there." I said, "Jim, I don't want to put you on the spot. You work hard. You're like 16-hour days. So the last thing you want to do is deal with, fans." He goes, "No, I want to do it. I want to do it." So my friends went to go pick him up. They were like two Wall Street friends, and they were out of their mind driving with him, picked him up. And it was a rainy night. I remember CNN was there, and uh, he was not even feeling well. And he met with every fan, every person. And it was like, it was beautiful. So that was one instance. Then when I got the word, what was that with that security scene with the security guard, it's not what I had in mind, with the security guard. I was on the wrong end of that scene. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
It's an
uh,
iconic scene, though. You got to admit.
listen, I was watching it with 20 friends. They fell off their chair. They didn't like even know what happened.
Right.
And even my mailman said, like, people that know I deliver your mail, they were asking me, like, made me famous. Uh, it's so he took me aside and he goes, "Listen, if you're not comfortable with this, we'll go talk to David. You don't have to do it." And I said, "Jimmy, I kind of suggested it. It's again not what I had in mind, but as long as they do it and they don't make it like the Russian, you see it and that's it."
Right.
And they assured me that that's all you're going to see this year, but get ready. Next year is going to be a big year for you.
Oh,
And
wow.
so it was. And then, that changed my life, really. you know.
Unbelievable. So now from The Sopranos, so now you're taking off the show from The
Oh, wait,
Sopranos.
wait,
Go
one
ahead.
last thing about Jimmy is that
Yeah,
at my wedding, they all most of the cast came and they all had fun. They sang, they danced, they passed the mic, and this before camera phones, so I had cameras on the table. I had 475 people at my wedding.
wow. Where was it?
Yeah,
Where
because
was it?
it was called the Vanderbilt in Staten Island. It just opened, and I couldn't find a venue that was big enough to hold that many people because I got married late. And in the restaurant business, you make a ton of friends and so on. I had people like were saying, "Listen, I'll pay to cut," because they knew the cast was coming. So they go, "Tell me what you want. I want to come to this wedding." And so the cast was there, and I had a lot of real guys at my wedding. Right, a lot of
Right.
guys that thought they were real, a lot of guys that wanted to be real, a lot of guys that were going to be real, and so on. So everybody passed the mic, said nice things and really cool stuff. But when it got to Stevie Van Zandt to say something, he said, I want this date to go down in history that the crime in New York City dropped by 50%.
Because half the criminals are at your wedding.
That's right. That's right. So those, but Jimmy said some nice things. He came with his son, who was 8. And so that picture was on my Instagram. Of almost everybody that was in that picture, you know.
Right.
Yeah, so that's the thing I said about Jimmy. He was the best.
Now, what happens when you go outside? I mean, listen, I've been out in public with you. I noticed that not many people on the pickleball courts really talk to you about the show or say anything about the show or even ask you about the show, which I'm a little bit surprised about because I've never really asked you about the show. But what's it like when you're walking out and people see you?
Pe-
How does that affect you? What do they say to you or what do they do?
People, first of all, maybe sometimes they don't put two and two together. They don't. I look familiar. They don't know from where. Um, I just got back from Tampa 2 days ago. I did signings and appearances in about I was 11 places in 6 days,
Wow.
and between pickleball place in the morning, I played pickleball, and then I do a cigar uh, place, which is really big in Florida. They all have bars; they're all beautiful places, and then a restaurant at night. And and I signed my. I had my vodka. I'm a
What's the name
brand
of the vodka?
ambassador.
You want to just say a little bit of something about your vodka?
Yeah, it's called Rocca Vodka. I've done a lot of signings here in Long Island. It's made from grapes, from Tempranillo grapes in Spain, Madrid, and we bottle it in Tampa, so they send the juice over. And it's really smooth. I always make people taste it without being chilled because it's very smooth. I'm a brand ambassador. It started with D. Snyder because the owner is friends with D. Snyder, so Rocca
Uh,
Vodka.
D. Snyder's
Then
from Baldwin, from what I understand.
yes, yes, that's why my friend's friends with him. Lennox Lewis is a brand ambassador, the boxer.
Wow.
He's got 3 NASCAR drivers, and he's doing now a tunnel to towers a bottle. He's working with the that foundation.
Wow. Very nice.
Anyway, yeah, so I did that, my bobblehead, my book. So there's always people I, take in the airport and there's just fans 20 years later that still line up to like take a picture and stop me. And I always ask if they're respectful and they're not jerk offs. Hey, I'm a big fan, love your work. I go, we want to take a picture. Oh, do you mind? I was going to ask. I don't want to like be that guy, or I'm embarrassed, or I don't want to bother you. I go, look, not a problem. Just give me the camera. We'll take it. And so I bang
That's
them
the
out.
part, Joe. I have to say though, that's the part I love the most when you say, "Give me the camera, I'll take the selfie." Because I've
Yeah.
been with you enough times, and I laugh when that happens. And by the way, I've been with you enough times um, when I've been with you enough times when people are so excited over the fact that, oh my God, he's with the Sopranos. Oh, what, do you think they'll let me take a picture with him? I go, sure, ask him. He'd be more than happy to do that. I mean, it's just so much fun to watch them. Like, oh, I can't wait to tell my husband. I can't wait to tell my wife. So much, it's just hilarious.
Because they're so fans, and if they're nice and they don't want to ask, I said it's not a big deal to take a picture. Hey, when you got to even give the camera to someone, they don't know how to do it, and they don't go high. You always got to go high with the camera. Uh, I just it's just when I do my cooking parties, and I got to take a picture with everyone. I just say, "Step up, give me the camera," and I bang them out.
Right. And I've seen that firsthand all the time, which is hilarious. Now, you and I have a mutual friend of ours, my niece Laura. That's where I
Yeah.
first met you at Vincent's Clam Bar. You probably don't remember. We took a selfie. You took a selfie with me. I showed you the picture when I saw you. That, like one of the first times I saw you, I go, I think we have a mutual friend. Here's a picture. I think you even came to the table. So, Joe, how did you get from becoming an actor to playing pickleball?
Um, I played, growing up in Brooklyn, paddleball,
Right.
and then when I moved to Long Island, I had bad hips. I guess it's hereditary. I was a lot bigger, and I walk like that on the show for real, which I was in tremendous pain. And I used to take 10, 12 Advils just to get through the day. It was a lot of, you got to do repetitive like movements over and over again, walking, sitting down, getting up, getting in the car. And as soon as they killed me, I had double hip replacement, same
Oh,
day.
wow. Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And I was doing a movie for Disney with Martin Lawrence. It was me playing golf, and my father and my brother are golfers. Um, And I started hitting the ball, and I was like, wow, I could turn. I could do this. So I started playing golf, and I started walking the course, carrying my bag. 18 holes I was playing every day, and it was like pain-free, which was beautiful. Then I played racquetball. I played racquetball in Brooklyn too, and I started playing here. And then one day in the gym, I heard these women talking, oh, we only have three for pickleball. And I heard about pickleball, and I kind of poo-pooed it. I think I'm like, I'm not ready for pickleball. I'm not going to move to Florida. And I played, and it was, these were older women, and they weren't very good. But I right away, I saw the possibilities of, the game, of hitting the ball, being strategizing,
Sure.
having control. Of course, they weren't really hitting it hard, but you get close, you got to have good reflexes, and you got to plan, your shots and what to do with it. And it was challenging, and that's what I loved about it.
And how long ago was
Um,
that, Joe? How long ago?
I'd say now it's almost about 2.5 years.
Okay, cool.
And when I get obsessed with something, golf and pickleball or cooking, I'm constantly looking at videos, and now they're everywhere on TikTok and Instagram and even Facebook. Um, I want to be very good at it. I don't want to just do it for, have fun and for the enjoyment. I mean, enjoy it, but I want to be good. I want to be
Yeah.
good to say he's a good player.
And Joe,
I'm,
I gotta tell you, I've seen how much better you've gotten in the last 2 years because we probably played, with each other for 2 years now, and I've seen how much better you went to Florida. I'm gonna say last year, maybe 18 months ago, and came back like a different player completely.
I play every day. I try to play every day, sometimes twice. I was a little annoyed today because it's so windy. It is like the
Yeah, it
worst
was
spring
bad.
ever. I was looking for an indoor game. I'm going to wherever I travel, except I'm going to Norway next, and they play padel. There's no
Okay.
pickleball there. But wherever I travel, I take my paddle. First thing I do is pickleball courts near me, and I play. And I already lined it up. I'm going to South Jersey tomorrow for Memorial Day. I already play Sunday. I got to find a place Monday. But I want to play, and it's a good way to meet people. You never know. I always ask what they do. Sometimes they could have a restaurant, sometimes they could have a company and need a spokesperson. So I'm always trying to you know, hustle.
Yeah. So,
You
Joe,
know what
quick question. If you had a choice to decide pickleball or golf, which would you pick?
Oh, it's a tough one. Tough one. Golf's uh golf's a little harder to master. Golf's a little harder to I mean, there's just so many variables between wind and grass and rough and lies and uphill, downhill, side hill. You know what I mean? It's like so many. Pickleball, I mean, you get a true bounce in like indoor, maybe outdoors a little different. You have to deal with the wind a little, which I don't like. Um, and then there's the
All right.
really good players.
Golf or
It's just
pickleball?
hard.
Which is it, Joe? Golf or pickleball? Got to pick
I,
one.
I can't. I'm gonna say pickleball because you could play at night, I guess.
All right. And you're done in 2 hours. Okay. Your best meal, French or Italian?
Oh, another tough one. I mean, I love both. I like different stuff, but then I like, give me good garlic and oil. Now, I always try to make dishes differently. So if I'm gonna do, aglio olio, I'm gonna throw a little anchovy in there. I'm gonna put a little breadcrumbs on top, um, and try to make it different. I do like French cuisine, certain things. Um,
So if you had
but
to cook for a friend, would you cook Italian or French?
I'd probably make some appetizers French, and then maybe I'd have to get crab sauce and there or linguine and clam sauce, my favorites. And then I don't know, Megan, I'm a sauce guy. So
I'm
whether it
glad you
be,
call it sauce, by the way. Thank you very much for
what else? I'm not a Philly guy.
that.
Uh,
All right.
yeah, so it's hard to say.
All right. Another question for you. Um, your favorite Italian restaurant on Long Island?
Um, I love Vincent's because it's not cutting edge Italian,
Sure.
which I like. But the mere fact of what they do it consistently. And the two brothers that run it, close friends of mine, and they run it like it's their first night.
Yep.
And they've been there
Always
almost
packed, Joe.
37 years.
Always packed. Can't get a table.
I,
Crowded.
I love
And
their sauce.
Vincent's is in Call Place, right?
Vincent's and Call Place.
It's
And
Vincent's Clam Bar is the full name, right?
Vincent's Clam Bar and Call Place. Bobby and Tony Marisi run it like it's their first night. And the most generous guys, and they're sweethearts. And me, I kind of fizzled out. I mean, the restaurant business beat you up. Once I met a successful restaurant in Bay Ridge when I got in a little trouble, after it was established and busy, I was making money. I was gambling like an animal. Was at the bar, I was drinking, I was meeting girls. My apartment was right upstairs. It's a
Yeah.
deadly combo. I
Right.
don't always look like this. I was 100, and I was a lot more on my game.
All right, Joe. I got a minute left because this went really fast. Tell us what's the next stop with Joe Gannascoli. What you go? What do you go? What are you doing next?
So the good news is that my book is being turned into a show, and I've
Oh,
been
good.
working on this for a year. I'm very, well, I can't let it out of the hat until it's papers are signed, but that's going to happen next week. I want it to happen to this week, but it's with a well-known network, and I'm going to be the host. It's called Meals to Die For. I will be posting it on Instagram and Facebook once it's a done deal. So
Okay.
that's what I'm excited about. So I gained a little winter weight. I was probably 20 pounds lighter, and I'm back in the groove now. It's a lot. You get in the groove. I got a routine. I get up early. I go play golf at 7. I go play pickle at 9. I come
All
home.
right,
I
Joe.
then
I got to stop you right there. Hold on 1 second. If you put in the comments on YouTube, Frank Milillo 5421, a meal to die for, we'll get you a free copy. It'll be at one of the clubs, right, Joe?
yeah,
You
okay.
have to put it in the comments of this YouTube video. We'll get you a free book.